Hello and welcome to Technocare Industries SAP Geek. This is Anurag and today we are going to continue on our course of Employee Central Payroll. With our last video, we have completed course A series of videos which were part A1, A2, A3, A4 and A5. Today we are going to start with course B and this is the very first video which is B1. Later on, once course B is completed, we will be starting with course C, which would be part C1, C2 and so on. The purpose of this video is to give you an introduction on payroll control center. We'll be seeing the current payroll processes. In that we'll be seeing how to run payroll using SAP Backend, how to post payroll results and how to do payroll reporting as a current payroll process. And then we'll be seeing what are the different challenges with legacy payroll solution, what are the advantages of payroll control center, the SAP's vision with which PCC was developed. We'll be seeing a brief overview of payroll control center and a system demo of PCC, and we will also see some technical prerequisites that are required before we start the configuration of PCC. Let us start with the current existing payroll process. So those consultants who are already aware of the backend payroll, they will understand this very easily, that the center point of the payroll process is your control record. For starting any payroll process for the month, we first release the payroll. Okay, so when we release the control record for payroll, what happens is the master data gets logged and we are able to run the payroll. Okay, so first step is always releasing payroll for releasing the control record for payroll. Then the second step is starting the payroll, actually creating the productive runs which will create payroll results in system. Then checking the results. So while checking results, again the status, when the control record status is set to check results, again it locks the master data and payroll, which means lock simply means that when I release to payroll, the master data is locked, means I will not be able to do any master data changes. When I am checking the results, master data and payroll both are locked, so I will not be able to do master data changes, as well as I will not be able to do the live payroll runs during this phase. And then finally I exit the control record, which is releasing the master data and log the control record. Like for example, once I am completed with the entire payroll process, so it is time for posting the payroll results to finance. We go ahead with the control record status as exit, and we set and we post the documents to FI, thus releasing the master data for the upcoming payroll cycle. So this is a standard straightforward process that is being followed. Within this there is a iteration of multiple payroll runs. So this iteration is done until and unless we are satisfied with our payroll results. It means during checking, during this step, check payroll results, if we find any differences or any unexpected values, we have to correct the master data and run the payroll again, right? So for doing that, we again release the control record back to corrections, which will unlock your master data, then so that we will be able to do the master data changes. Once these changes are done, again we will release the payroll, right? And this process will go on in a cycle until and unless we are satisfied with the final payroll results, and then we'll finally exit payroll. So this is the basic uh, backbone of the payroll process, legacy payroll process, which is right now being used for more than 20 years by customers, and it is a proven tested process which is basically reliant on this maintenance of control record. Okay, and then again there is something called as check ABR. This check ABR is a statement inside payroll driver which controls the payroll run. uh, it basically rejects the employees, or it does not reject the employees. It gives an error to the administrator stating that the control record is not in release for payroll. So if the control record is in any other mode, let's say it is on check results, or it is on exit, okay, or it is on corrections, so it will give an error saying that, stating that the control record is not released for payroll. Okay, so again this logic is again very important. It ensures that while productive results are being created for payroll, there are no master data changes happening in background. Okay, so this is the overview of the existing process which you might already be aware of. If you are thinking of implementing PCC, a very basic prerequisite is you must be able to, first you should be very comfortable with the legacy payroll process. Okay, so moving on to the features of a control record. So the existing payroll consultants which are working on backend payroll, they will agree that control record serves all these purposes. So it will control the status of the payroll area, right? It will monitor the run numbers that have happened, that is how many correction runs have we executed. Then it will define what is payroll present and payroll past. Okay, so there are multiple validations in different info types, where in certain info types we cannot change in payroll past. So how system determines it? It determines based on the control record. So if I see over here, this is the current payroll period, and any period or any date prior to the start date would be a payroll past if this is the control record. It also limits the retroactivity. So there is a one more field which will restrict the retroactive changes that an administrator can perform on an employee's master beyond a particular limit date, which is set over here. Okay, so this is a very commonly known understanding of control record. Okay, now one more thing I want you to understand is, as per the current payroll process, what all we can do pre-payroll, right? Pre-payroll means, when I say pre-payroll, it means before starting or before creating live results of payroll. Okay, let's say for the month of December we have already completed the payroll results, and we have to run payroll of January. So typically running payroll of January, administrator will start creating payroll results on, let's say, 27th or 28th of January, right? And from 28th and onwards, on the payroll results will be there, and all the corrections will be done, and subsequent payroll subsequent activities will be completed. But the process which can be done pre-payroll, that is before creating live payroll results, is called as pre-payroll process. Okay, now this terminology you just need to understand, because pre-payroll process is a major chunk of innovation that SAP has delivered in PCC. Okay, so what I was able to do during this pre-payroll process is, I was able to do something called as simulation payroll run. Okay, so when I do simulation payroll run, what all information we get total successful employee numbers, total number of retro periods that system executed, and the total number of errors along with error messages. Okay, so if there are any uh, standard or custom validations built in payroll driver which rejects the employee and generates certain errors, or any other standard errors related to, let's say, period not generated, or let's say control record not in the correct status, so all such errors will come in simulation payroll. But what I cannot do is, I cannot run a wage type reporter, I cannot see a payroll journal, I cannot run any reconciliation reports. So I cannot get information on total gross, or let's say employee payments or new hires in payroll from the payroll results, because there are no payroll results generated at this step. So we are thinking of a phase where we have only simulated the payroll results. No results have actually generated, no live results are generated, and there is no base for reporting all these values which are cross marked over here. Okay, so the things that we could do in a legacy payroll process was pretty much limited to what to the output of simulation payroll, right? So this is the main thing, where main area where SAP has changed, uh, uh, has uh, has has innovated payroll control center in such a way that more things could have uh, accommodated during the pre-payroll phase of the process. Okay, so let us move on. You will also notice, or I would rather would like to point out that for running payroll, again we have to run a transaction, right? We, if not run a transaction, I need to, even if I don't have to remember the transaction, I have to navigate to the SAP easy access menu. I have to come at this selection screen. I have to give certain inputs to this, right? Like for example, payroll area, for which control record we have maintained. Then I have to select the current whatever payroll period we want. We have to give a payroll schema which is required for performing calculations, right? So even though all this is can be saved in a variant, and the same variant can be selected um, subsequently, still I have to do certain technical uh, transaction inside system in order to run a payroll. And once payroll is executed, in order to understand, also I must be able to read this log, right? We must have that technical small if not expert, some small skill set we would require to understand this payroll log, and also what all details are there in this output or processing, whatever step of this payroll log. So the purpose of stressing on this is that legacy payroll, or running legacy payroll, and also to check the simulation logs in legacy payroll process, and in fact also the reporting. If I have to check reports after live payroll is executed, I have to again execute a transaction for wage type let's say wage type reporter. I have to give the wage type. Let's say I have to check what is the gross for all the employees. I have to give that wage type slash 101. So I should know what is the wage type corresponding to gross. So I should have some basic knowledge of some technical basic knowledge in the SAP backend in order to navigate and understand these payroll results. Okay, so this is the current payroll process, and the challenges with this legacy payroll solution is that, so if I see this timeline, right? What is this timeline? When I said I am running payroll for the January month, this is the, let's say, start of payroll. Like on the 28th of Jan I started running payroll, right? And what I did is I executed payroll. After executing payroll, let's say there are 5 different administrators, okay, which are supposed to take care of master data maintenance of different group of employees. So for convenience, I have just grouped them as, let's say this is one is A, B, C, D and E. Okay, so there are different errors, or system gave me an output after running a live payroll. System gave me an output, and let's say 100 employees are payroll results are not as expected. So these administrators A, B, C, D and E are then making these respective corrections in the employee master, right? So what is the next step? Once I made all the corrections, I will run the payroll again. Okay, and then once this payroll results are confirmed, then the post payroll activities will complete, right? So we will start with, let's say, social insurance distribution, tax declaration, employee payments, pay statements and financial posting to your finance module. So if you see, all these processes have to happen into this small window of time, that is we start a payroll from, let's say, 28th of the month, and let's say the time or the date, specific date of payment is last day of the month. So it in this month, let's say you have to start at 28th and you have to end at 31. Okay, it is possible that let's say uh, in let's say February, we might have to start it on, let's say, 26th, or let's say 25th we start. So we end on 28th, because 28th is the last day of the month on which payment should happen. So all these processes, these subsequent corrections after the first payroll run is done, this is the major time taking activity, which where SAP will not be able to give you the errors, but there would be certain errors due to master data maintained at employee level. Okay, so we need to understand there are two types of errors in any payroll. One are the payroll validations that we put on our master data, which system can give you output even in simulation. Okay, for example, if bank details are not maintained or cost centers are not maintained, I may have configured system to give me an error message. So that error message will come in this simulation mode also. Okay, but there are certain error messages which system will not be able to identify and give you. Like for example, a person should be paid amount as 20,000, and the entry that is done in master is 60,000. So system cannot understand or differentiate the incorrect entry from the correct entries. So in such cases, the validation of the payroll results becomes key process in this cycle, and this validation of payroll results, along with all along with subsequent correction in the master, and then rerunning the payroll n number of times, where till we get successful and satisfied payroll results, it is a time consuming process. So because we are trying to achieve three max to max, all these activities we are trying to achieve in, let's say, 3 days or 4 days, right, at the end of the typical payroll month or any payroll period. And the main challenge here comes because we do not have any we cannot start any verification of payroll before we create payroll results, right? We cannot have any reports or any analytics on payroll results before we actually set our control record to release for payroll and start the payroll process for the month. So all these reports like payroll journals, your wage type report or custom reports, all this will not have any data until and unless we start our process and create the first payroll results, which is ultimately going to happen only at the later end of the month, like let's say from 28th of the month. Okay, so this is the main challenge in the legacy payroll solution, though I would not say that this is a very big challenge. But yes, uh, completing all the activities might take longer time than expected sometimes, and it might we might have a risk of uh, finalizing incorrect payroll results and incorrect payouts, which is a very very undesirable state. Okay, now what advantages are there with PCC is, first of all, it can be used with on-premise SAP HCM. It needs a technical component installation of HR Renewal 2.0, or it can also be used with Employee Central. Then it is way easier for new payroll managers and admins to train on. Okay, so if all the consultants will agree, definitely agree that training a admin or a end user to run payroll is a very big task. So especially if they are not from a technical background, there would be point number one, a lot of resistance, and point number two, the process would be very slow, because as I said, there are a lot of terminologies and niche technical uh, terms that they need to understand, and they need to follow a specific process. Okay, so but with this new payroll control center, it would be very easy for the new payroll managers and admins to train so that they can work on the front end. With that being said, brand new front end is designed for running payroll, and not only running payroll, the entire process, right from simulating payroll results to creating live payroll results, posting to FI, and also exiting the control record. So all these activities can be done using a brand new front end screen. Okay, very major and big advantage of PCC is that issues can be identified and fixed before starting productive payroll. So this is where we saw the challenge of legacy payroll process was, before actually creating live payroll results in system, we did not have any reports or analytics which would actually trigger the master data corrections from respective admins. But here we can not only identify, we can also fix these payroll issues before actually starting the productive payroll. And it also gives something called as key performance indicators and policy deviators. So the features of PCC is that it gives you alerts and KPIs. So what is alerts? Alerts can be anything which violates or deviates your policy. It may not be a showstopper, or it may not be a hard stop to a payroll process, but it might alert you that you must, or the payroll admin must look at that once before going ahead. Okay, that is the meaning of alert. And key performance indicators are certain small tile dashboards which a payroll manager can be able to see uh, right after logging in or going to the landing page, wherein he don't have to run any transaction to get, let's say, total gross paid to all the employees across the organization. Or there may be certain different KPIs, like for example, difference or percentage difference between last employee count to current period employee count. All such statistics would be available to payroll manager on front end. Okay, and also there is a huge visibility increase over the end-to-end payroll, and as well as huge time saving in the last end period of the payroll cycle, wherein currently there would be a lot of stress and a lot of things that has to happen in the last few days before a payroll cycle ends. And again, these alerts and policy deviations and key performance indicators, these can be built using the uh, existing ABAP developer skill set, so that no new skill set is required for giving these alerts or KPIs in system. So these are broad on a broad level the advantages of payroll control center. What SAP kept in mind while developing this PCC solution is that SAP believes that the best payroll is the one we don't see, which is that is, the payroll should be so smooth that we should not be able to have, or even think of it as a tedious activity. Okay, and it has also created, while developing PCC, SAP has created a brand new front end for running payroll in the existing backend system. It also improved data quality, and the majority of the work is done in pre-payroll phase. So pre-payroll phase is before generating the actual live payroll results. Okay, so we will come to this. And yes, uh, next vision was to give KPIs and validation checks to the front end payroll manager, which earlier was absent. So there was no statistics, or let's say no dashboard kind of a tool available for payroll manager to check the variance of let's say number of employees across periods, or number of let's say percentage change in the gross paid to employee, and things like that. So with payroll control center, what happened is earlier, so SAP has introduced the concept of one click monitoring. This is also called as pre-payroll activity. So this one click monitoring is a pre-payroll activity. Uh, by this statement, what I mean is all these activities or all these validations can be done before generating the payroll results. Okay, so let us move on to the previous. Yeah, this is the legacy payroll solution. Here what we saw, we have to generate the live payroll results, then the administrators will make the master data corrections, will run payroll again and complete this process until we have satisfied results, and then this process will go on, right? Similarly, what in PCC the process flow is like, we have something called new concept called as one click monitoring, or the pre-payroll phase of a payroll process, wherein what the system administrators will do is they'll get the reports and they'll be uh, changing or correcting the master data as and when they need, but this time not from the start of the period payroll run period. In fact, they can start it right from day one. So as soon as, let's say, new data employee is hired or new any master data change has happened, system has the capability to trigger different alerts to the system admins, the respective payroll admins, which they will then check what are those alerts and makes the master data changes according to whatever solutions are required for that particular alert. And then all this activity is pushed to a pre-payroll. So pre-payroll means my control record is not yet released for payroll, I have not started the productive payroll. Okay, so the major work of identifying and fixing issues with payroll has been pushed to a pre-payroll phase. So this can be addressed before releasing the control record and allows much more time to resolve issues after they are initiated. So earlier, where let's say administrators had only 2 or 3 days to fix all those errors, now they have entire month till the payroll, or entire payroll period till we start generating live payroll results. Okay, so again, the main change that has happened in payroll control center is the identification and fixing issues related to master data has been pushed to a pre payroll activity in a one click monitoring. Okay, something called as one click monitoring. And once all this throughout the month or throughout the period, once administrators have resolved all these alerts, by the time, let's say, the time comes for running live payroll or the or the productive payroll, the alerts would already be zero, and then we'll be just running payroll, and then completing the follow-up activities like social insurance, tax, employee payments, pay statements, and so on. Okay, so in earlier graph, in earlier timeline, let's say 28, in our example 28th of the month started from here. Now from 28th of the month, what activities we have to do is from here till this only. So all these activities can be done from 1st till 27th of the month. So basically payroll administrators will have a lot of sufficient time to complete and fix all the alerts that system has generated based on the policies that are triggered by system based on the simulation payroll results. Okay, so with that kept in mind, let us move on to a system demo of payroll control center. So here I am showing you payroll control center with Fiori. So the same will also be available in employee center. So one, we have a section for payroll managers, and then we also have a section for payroll administrator. Okay, under payroll manager, as you can see, there are different tiles: my processes and manage policies, action log, right? So all these functionalities, basically these different tiles, may not be available for each and every employee. So based on role, so standard SAP has delivered two roles: one is PCC payroll manager and another one is PCC payroll administrators. So all the activities that a manager can do are classified likewise. Let us see the processes. Under active processes, we have my processes, there are three tabs: active processes, upcoming process, and completed process. In upcoming process, you can see that I have a process defined for production payroll, and I have a process for process financial posting. And in active process, I have something called as monitoring process. This is nothing but one click monitoring or the pre payroll. Okay, this pre payroll or one click monitoring has three steps: creating test payroll data, initiate policies, and monitoring. Okay, so we are at a monitoring phase. So the steps create test payroll data and initiate policies are already completed, and we are in the monitoring process. If you see in the bottom, system has generated 4 alerts, right? And and these 4 alerts are nothing but the policy deviations that I was talking about, that is after running, let's say, simulation payroll results, and those policies validations it has generated. And this is the KPIs are nothing but key performance indicators. So you can see these there are 4 alerts that are generated, and there are certain statistics for gross pay statistics, like total gross pay, total number of employees paid. Then I have some um, statistics on finance integration as well, wherein I can check total number of documents that are yet to be posted to FI, then whether the period for FI for posting is open or not, right? So that validation. Then we might have certain employee statistics, uh, which we would have, let's say, new hires in the organization. We might have number of employees, right? Statistics on number of employees, last period, current period, the absolute difference of number of employees, so we can get the variance. So these are key performance indicators. So two things: alerts and KPIs. So let us go to alert assignment. So we will have under alert assignment, I will have, let's say, okay, again there are two sections: my processors and by policy. So we can see alerts by policy. Let's say by policy we have, let's say, 4 different policies, and under, let's say, net payroll alerts or gross payroll alerts, we have basically categorized the errors into different policies, and those different policies we can assign to different administrators. Inside net payroll alerts, you can see I have one error for employees with positive deduction. Let us see what is that. Now I can see the employee itself, for whom actually that error is there, and it has been assigned to myself. Now let us see the window of payroll administrator. So because this alert is assigned to a payroll administrator, we'll go to payroll administrators. Under my alert style, we'll see this error is assigned to me or the administrators. We'll click on this alert, and we'll see the description. So what system is giving me is, system is saying, system is giving me the details of the errors, and system is also giving the probable solutions. Okay, if you see here, there are multiple solutions that are listed for the error employees with positive deductions in payroll result. So for the purpose of demonstration, I have kept multiple solution. Again, all these things are very configurable. For each and every alert, you can suggest multiple solutions here. Okay, so if I click on this web GUI, you will directly come to the PA30 screen, wherein if you have a little payroll background, you would understand that if I'm maintaining a deduction, there is no need for the negative sign while maintaining, right? So I will just save this, and yes, I will close the window. Okay, so the beauty of this was, even before running the payroll, system actually gave me an alert, and I was able to resolve it from the link itself. After validating, you will see the status is changed to completed, and will come to home page again. Now again, moving on to the manager tile, I will see that the total number of alerts is reduced from 4 to 3. Similarly, I have to resolve all the errors one by one, and this identification and resolution of errors uh, does not have to wait till the end of the month where actually payroll results will be created, but it can take place instantaneously as and when master data changes are recorded in system. So moving on to the upcoming process, let us see a production payroll process. So that was one click monitoring. Okay, and now we'll see production payroll. Again, before going to production monitoring, let us complete this monitoring process. I will confirm the completion of monitoring process and come back. So the upcoming process will show only production payroll process. Now under this production payroll process, there are 6 steps. Start payroll. Then what this start payroll does is basically, it will, in the backend, it will change the control record status to release for payroll. Then run payroll, which is currently in process. So basically it will create live payroll results in background. Okay, third step is, let's say, posting simulation. Again, before posting simulation, if I go to run payroll, I can actually check the log which was generated for my live payroll results if I wish from here itself. Okay, and then I can actually go to posting simulation. It is a standard practice to check posting simulation after running live payroll. I will mark this activity as completed. I will go to posting simulation. Again, I will start this activity. I will check the simulation documents, right? I can see from the C details also, and I can in fact go into the backend system, and I can check the simulation posting documents which are generated in the transaction PCP0s, right? So if I go to PCP0, it will show me the simulation payroll documents which are created. So there are, after ensuring that there are no errors in this, I can go ahead and confirm this step as well. Once I confirm this, it will go to the initiate policies. Under initiate policies, I have to, it will again trigger the KPIs and alerts. Okay, now again, one important point is, this KPI and alerts can be different for the pre-payroll activity and the live payroll activity. So we can have different sets of alerts and KPIs configured for pre-payroll, that is one click monitoring, as well as for the production payroll. So let's say after resolving all the uh, so after initiating the policies, we, all these alerts and KPIs are triggered. If at all I wish to resolve these errors, again I have to similarly fix these alerts, and again once I'm satisfied with the alerts and KPIs, I have to run the payroll again, that is step 2. And once this assignments once this I am satisfied, so it is, again I told you, it is not a um, hard stop. I can still go ahead with the alerts, and then finally I will end payroll. Okay, when I end payroll, uh, system will basically, system will set my control record to exit mode. Okay, so what we have done is, we have actually executed the legacy payroll process itself, but by a brand new front end. So just for your information, bottom left there will be a button for refresh. So whenever we want to, I am clicking that refresh button. and the bottom right will have a button for confirm. That confirm whether confirmation is needed or not, that is also configurable under each section of the process. Okay, so using this we have actually we have executed payroll right from releasing control record to executing live payroll results to checking simulation documents and exiting control record, but by a brand new front end. Okay, so now let us move on to technical prerequisites for implementing PCC. What we have to do is we have to ensure that these three components are there. So first of all, if these are not there, we need to install them, and these three components should be at 608.25 level only. Earlier releases 604 and 600 are not supported for PCC. So if you want to go for PCC, you only have to upgrade to your release 608, and then minimum SP level should be 25. Okay, so yes, so if you are not using S4 HANA, you're using ECC enhancement 6.0, so then EHP 7 or EHP 8 must be installed. Then the HR renewal 2.0 technical components must be there, which is nothing but EAHR 608 at support pack 25, and SAP HR 608 also support pack 25, and it requires declusterization or declustered configuration of your payroll results. So the declustering of payroll results is something that we are going to see in the configuration part also, when we are going to start with the actual configuration of PCC. And this is what is required. This is basically responsible for creating the simulation results while the control record is not yet released for payroll. Okay, and then we will and yes, obviously the SAP payroll configuration already should be completed. So PCC is something, it will give you a way or a interface to run your payroll from a front end without running any backend transaction. Also it will allow you to initiate the alerts to different administrators based on any policy deviations. It will also give you a very innovative KPI tiles on different dashboard kind of look, but provided that already the payroll configuration in backend is complete. So for example, if you want to implement as PCC, first is to implement the legacy payroll as it is done, and then to initiate the configuration for PCC, which will take care of this front end. Okay, although the minimum support pack which is mentioned over here is HR renewal 2.0, we it is recommended that we go to the latest support pack for HR renewal, so that whatever new functionality is there and new screens are there are available for us. And finally, I would like to give you some tips on PCC. So very first one is historical declusterization of, or historical declustering of payroll results is not required. Like for example, if you are a existing customer who has, let's say, 5 to 6 or maybe 10-15 years of payroll results already in place, you don't need to decluster those results. Whenever, as and when effective date from which you are actually implementing PCC, you can enable that configuration, and then you can have those declustered payroll results available for your generating the alerts. Okay, and also we can delete the declustered results afterwards. It is not like your live payroll results which cannot be deleted after posting. These declustered payroll results can be deleted, and how to delete these declustered results, SAP note is available, using which you just have to follow the steps to delete the declustered payroll results. And one more very important note on this PCC is it does not require SAP HANA database. Okay, it can be done on ECC as well, on premise. However, if SAP HANA is used, it speeds up the process. Okay, but the declustering tools must be configured. The payroll results must be declustered. When I say payroll results will be declustered, we'll go to the technical configuration later, but I'll just give you a rough idea. When you run a payroll simulation, okay, in it is similar to running a payroll simulation, and the whatever tables you need for generating, let's say, alerts or validations or trigger notifications to administrators, those tables in the payroll results, you configure them as a transparent tables which will be updated along with your simulation payroll results. Okay, so yeah, moving on to the business functions that you need to activate. So at the time of making this video, these are the different business functions that you need to activate before starting the configuration of PCC. But there might be different, or in addition to this also, there might be a number of different business functions that you need to activate. Very simple way for identifying this is, you have to look out for this payroll control center keyword in SFW5, so that you get all the business functions that are released for PCC by SAP. So it is recommended that you implement each and every business function which is available in SFW5, which has keyword payroll control center inside that, and then you go ahead with the configuration. Along with business functions, you need to also activate certain uh, SICF services. Okay, so in the SICF transaction code, you have to go and activate all these services mentioned over here, which will then only then the different tiles which are called, the applications which are called from different tiles will work. Okay, in addition to the mentioned services over here, you also have to check for any service with service name hrpy strip. Okay, and then you go ahead and activate all the o data ICF nodes for all these services. Okay, so you don't need to activate the s data node. This is the s data node was for the older gateway services. With PCC, o data nodes are used. Yeah, so today we have seen the end result, or a how we run payroll using PCC, using this brand new front end that SAP has delivered. Now in our upcoming videos, we will actually configure this payroll control center step by step. Okay, so this was just a demo or introduction to the PCC. The actual configuration steps will be covered in the upcoming videos.